If you're a wedding photographer, you know that capturing stunning images is only half the battle. The real challenge? Delivering flawless photos while making sure that your clients have an incredible experience. Over my 12 plus years in the industry, I've learned that great photographers don't just take great photos. They make the process effortless for their clients. Today, I'm sharing my 5 must-know wedding photography tips that will not only improve your photos, but will also leave your clients raving about you long after the wedding is over. One of the most common mistakes I see new wedding photographers make is not understanding their camera settings. One thing you definitely want to avoid is keeping your ISO and your shutter speeds too low. Although in your mind you may want to keep your ISO lower because you want to avoid grain in your photos, what I'll often see sometimes when I'm working with new second shooters is somebody shooting at a shutter speed of 1/25th of a second, an ISO 100, and an aperture of 2.8, just so they don't get grain in their photo from the higher ISO. But what they don't realize, the longer you keep your shutter open, the more chance you have for any kind of interference in your photo, whether that be electronic or anything that can get its way in front of the sensor. This will cause your photo to actually be grainier than it would have if you bumped your ISO up to 800 or 1000 and you brought your shutter speed above 2/50th of a second. Modern cameras handle a higher ISO a lot better, which in the past was something that was heavily pushed to avoid shooting as high as ISO as possible. But I always try, like I said, to shoot above 2/50th of a second, most of the time shooting well above 500th of a second to make sure that my photos come out crisp and any noise that gets introduced from ISO is easily removed in post compared to the grain and distortion that comes from shooting at a lower shutter speed. Too often as photographers, we can shoot however we want on the wedding day and think, oh, I could just fix it in post. But without the right camera settings, fixing it in post could be something that's almost impossible to do. So make sure you nail it right in camera and learn your camera settings. This is why I encourage every photographer to do deep dives on their camera. There's so much information out there on how to use your camera, whether you're shooting Canon, Sony, Nikon, Fujifilm, that there's no excuse for you to fully understand how your camera works. And just make sure you get out there and practice as much as possible. Whether it's taking friends out to do photos or just going out there and getting experience on your own, our goal is always to get to that 10,000 hours of mastery so that we know that we're fully capable of doing the job that we were hired to. Most couples wake up the morning after their wedding on an emotional high, excited to relive the best day of their lives. But if all they have is guest iPhone photos, that's what ends up on Instagram first. So here's what I do. I deliver anywhere from 80 to 100 edited images the next day. And you might be asking yourself, why is this a game changer? The first thing is that it blows clients away. They never expect images that fast. At least at first, my couples didn't, but now that it's pretty well known that I'll get them previews the next day, it's something that's expected, but it's also something that other photographers just aren't willing to do. And what this does is it increases referrals. You want to know why? They share my work immediately. Their network of friends on social media and family see that the photographer that was running around and busting their butt the entire day of the wedding also just got them a boatload of photos for them to look back on and hold them over until you're able to get them the full gallery. Now, this isn't something that I was able to just start doing. Over the years, I've created a workflow that's allowed for me to be able to do this. I actually have a full video about it that you can watch clicking the card above, but here's a little synopsis of what that workflow entails. But after the wedding, I load all of my cards and I get everything loaded into Lightroom. Throughout the entirety of the wedding day, I'm kind of keeping track of moments that I know would make great preview photos. And what I do is I pick a little bit from getting ready, a little bit from first look, a little bit from portraits, a little bit from ceremony, a little bit from reception, and a little bit from anything that might be a special moment throughout the day. Say the couple is Chinese and they have lion dancers, I'm gonna get some photos from that. Say the couple's Jewish and they're doing a ketubah signing, I might get a photo from that. And I'll pull these images together until I have about 80 or 100, like I said. And then I'll use my already created presets to go through and edit all the photos. And then I'll upload my photos to PicTime, which will make it easy for me to deliver the photos to my clients. And why do I love PicTime, you might ask? They have beautiful customizable online galleries. They have a ton of automated print and sales integration. They have drag and drop album design tools, and they provide for a seamless client experience. And if that sounds amazing and you're not currently using PicTime, I'm giving everyone who uses my link 1 month free. It's honestly the best system for delivering and organizing client photos, and I can't recommend it enough. So make sure to click the link in the description below to get your free month. The best wedding photos aren't just about perfect lighting and sharp focus. They're about capturing real emotion. If your couple feels comfortable, their connection shines through effortlessly. But if they're stiff and nervous, it shows in every photo. Let's talk about how to make your couples feel relaxed, confident, and natural in front of the camera. Some of the things that I do to help my couples feel comfortable in front of the camera is getting to know them. And the best way that I can do that is to follow them on social media leading up to their wedding day. By following your clients on social media, you get to get an understanding of their personalities, the things they like, the big moments that they have in their life leading up to their wedding, like purchasing a home or buying a new dog. And social media really just opens us up to the ability to have a lot of touch points with our client throughout the entire process leading up to their wedding. So every time you like one of their stories on Instagram or they respond to one of yours, you're building a repertoire and you're allowing for yourself to almost feel like you're one of their friends when you arrive on their wedding day. And when you can make your couple feel this way, they're going to be themselves. They're not going to have these walls that they put up around people that they don't really know. And what that leads to is awkward and uncomfortable photos. And because I've learned so much about them leading up to the wedding day, I see how they naturally pose themselves in photos, so I can get a glimpse of how they already feel comfortable standing next to each other in photos, and I can just lean into that heavily when it comes time to pose them on the wedding day. And when it comes to shooting during the wedding, I'm constantly having conversations with them and bringing up a lot of these personal things that I've learned about them throughout the entirety of planning their wedding. So I might ask a random question like, so how's your dog doing being away from you guys on the wedding day? And that completely takes their mind off of the fact that there's a camera in front of them into other things outside of the moment, which allows for them to just not even realize that they're taking photos and just having these conversations and prompting them and in between them answering things, say, hey, now you guys look at each other, now look here at me. And just adding these little moments in really helps for them to just take the edge off of it. Now they're thinking about their dog and they're not thinking about how much anxiety they get in front of the camera. And these little things, as crazy as it may sound, go the extra mile to getting the photos that they've always wanted. Now this leads me to my next thing. I won't stay stationary with my couples for too long. I'm always introducing movement to my poses. So even if the groom is behind the bride and he wraps his arms around her and they look at me and smile, I'll have him, rock her back and forth and whisper something in her ear. One of my go-to prompts for that is encouraging the groom to share maybe their funniest moment that they've ever shared together. That's always going to bring some laughs into the photos. And then I'll have him grab her hand and I'll have him lead her, and I'll just continue to create movement throughout the entire process of posing. So don't feel like you need to have your feet stuck in concrete in that one singular pose, but always find ways that you can continue to modify it so that they're not feeling stiff and they're always moving. The best wedding photos aren't just pretty, they feel real. Many of my couples book me specifically for my golden hour portraits. I mean, you can't beat that soft, dreamy light. It's instant photo magic. So my fourth tip is learning how to shoot during golden hour and mastering it. This is how I shoot during golden hour to make sure that these photos stand out. During the majority of my golden hour photos, I'm making sure that my couples are backlit. I position my couples so that the sun is behind them. During the final 45 minutes to half hour of sunlight, the sun being as low as it is allows for it to be in the photo without creating harsh light like a mid-afternoon sun, and creates the most beautiful glow and flares when being positioned behind your clients. And when you do this, you want to make sure that you're exposing for the skin tones, because it's easy to just let the highlights blow out and then you lose a ton of detail on your couple. So I'd almost even suggest underexposing just a little bit in these photos so that you can brighten it later in post. Now that doesn't mean that's the solidified rule for shooting during golden hour. Sometimes you'll get amazing results when you shoot and have the couple facing the sun and getting that soft light hitting their skin and getting that really warm orange hue. There'll even be times where I use my off-camera flash to give those golden hour photos a real point and shoot film camera feel. And my fifth and final tip is to make sure that you over-deliver. This means in the preparation phase, you want to build in a buffer time when it comes to your timeline. So when you're speaking with your clients, you're telling them, I think we're going to need 25 minutes for family photos, even if you think that you only need maybe 18 to 20 minutes. That way, on the day of the wedding, if anything runs behind, you seem like a superhero that's catching them up on the timeline, when really what you've done is built in a buffer time to be able to make up for the lost time. This is something that couples have looked back on for me and say, wow, I felt like we were so behind, but now that I look at the schedule, you really did X, Y, or Z to make sure that we got caught back up, when all that really was preparing and making sure that we had more than enough time to capture the photos that were needed. Another way that you can over-deliver is by making sure that you come prepared with everything that a couple might need that necessarily isn't photography related. That's why I always bring an emergency kit with me to each and every wedding, filled with a bunch of stuff that I go over in this video in the card above, and will certainly make you a favorite at the wedding, whether it's with the groomsman that ripped his pants or the bridesmaid that needed blister bandages for her shoes. These little touches, as small as they may seem, will lead to more and more wedding bookings in your future. And when it comes to post-wedding, what you want to do is make sure that you're not just dumping a bunch of photos on your client. I make sure to go through their gallery and organize it by each section of the day. So there's a section for the bridal getting ready, a section for the groom getting ready, a section for the first look, a section from each major portion of the day, and the special events. Like I said earlier, if the couple's Jewish and they have a ketubah signing, you have a section in the gallery that's just from the ketubah signing. And all of these little special touches will show the couple that you care about the individual moments that made their wedding day special. And the last thing that you want to do that will really make your couples feel special, I always allow for an early bird special on the gallery so that when the couples get their gallery, they're super excited, but they also get a 10% discount for a week or two. And they always get a 10% discount on their photos for a week, which is always a win-win for the couple and for you. They get cheaper prints and albums the first week that they get their gallery, and you also get more of a guarantee of sales. So not only are you over-delivering for your client, but you're ensuring that your business is going to grow year after year. Weddings move fast, and as photographers, we don't get do-overs. But when you master your craft, connect with your couples, and go above and beyond, you're not just capturing photos, you're creating unforgettable experiences. Let me know in the comments below which one of these tips you're excited to apply at your next wedding. And as always, if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and share it with your other wedding photographer friends. Until the next one, see you guys later.